Firstly, if you are not aware of how money negatively or positively influences relationships, it can really fuck the polarity if you're not careful. If you, as the woman, I'm going to assume that you're either making as much money as him or like a similar amount, or you're making more money than him. If you have not done work around your relationship with money and your wounds around being a woman that's making a lot of money, that can then show up in very like controlling ways in the relationship. And in fact, it's more likely that you are being a little bit financially, if we want to use the word abuse from this chick that wrote it, it's more likely that you're actually being a little bit financially manipulative, let's just say, than him, because you have the money. And for the majority of us, money equals control, which is what we have to remember, because for a lot of women back in the day when they were not making any money or a very small amount of money, they had essentially less control because they didn't really have the ability to just leave the marriage, for example, because they needed their husband to fund their lifestyle. They needed their husband to keep the roof over their heads and to provide, if we're thinking about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, to provide that foundational bottom of like food, shelter, water, etc. So when we think about then women having more money or just as much money as men, it can tip things in a negative direction if you're not careful. Because if you don't know how to engage with your money as a woman, it can then result in you using it as a way to manipulate or to control or lead in certain ways in the relationship, rather than understanding that money is simply a resource and you can use it for good in the relationship. So you need to ensure that you have healed any stickiness and anything in your relationship with money, so that you are not projecting your money issues onto him, but also onto the relationship. There's a lot of research out there now that actually shows that women that make more money than men are more likely to be cheated on, and are more likely to get a divorce. So it's not to say that you shouldn't make more money. Like, that's not what I want to scare you guys into. And actually, I did another episode where I really talked about this whole, if you're the breadwinner, are you more likely to get cheated on? Olivia will link that below for you guys in the description. I would highly recommend listening to it or re-listening to it, because the issue isn't women making more money than men. The issue is what they are doing with that. The issue is how they are engaging with that. And I know for us as women, the issue with us making a lot of money is what happens to him. What happens to his leadership? Does he now just become like a mummy's boy, or not become like, as in you're the mummy, not like his mummy? Does he just become lazy? Is he not showing up and working hard? Are you now doing everything? Has everything been put on your plate and your mental load is so fucking massive because you're like completely responsible for keeping a roof over everybody's head? And that's where my program, the Feminine Female Breadwinner, would be really helpful for a lot of you. I have broken down like in great detail everything that will help you to navigate being the female feminine breadwinner, so that it doesn't affect your polarity. Even just, for example, ensuring that you are not wearing the pressure of your work or your income is the thing that is funding the food and the shelter. Now, of course, some of you might be like, well, Monica, you're the one funding the food and the shelter because your fiance works for you, so you're paying him. I explain how all of that works in the Feminine Female Breadwinner and how we've navigated that, because he has provided me with so much security and safety that I know that if I got to a point where I was like, babe, I can't pay you anymore. I can't deal with this. I don't like it. I don't like you working for me anymore. It's completely just like throwing me off. I don't want this pressure on my head, blah, blah, blah. He'd be like, cool, no worries. And he would go find another job, no problemo. Yes, we've had those conversations, as in not the conversations of like, I want you to go find another job, but the conversations of that is a thing should I need it. Some of you asked in the comments, like, this is not even asked, said, this is really sad. What's going to happen when you become a mother? Like, everything is going to be on your shoulders. And again, it's that, remembering that obviously Instagram doesn't have context, but I'm going to do episodes on this for you guys. And I really already have. We are setting ourselves up for success for that period of my life, because he absolutely does not want all of the pressure to be on my shoulders. Like, he says that he feels more pressure than I even do, because he doesn't even just have the pressure of ensuring like my business succeeds. He also has the pressure of not wanting me to feel the pressure. Does that make sense? Like, that is his protector and provider kind of coming out in just a different way. So for a lot of us, we make money a very masculine thing. And what that means is that we only feel safe with a man when he is the one bringing in all the money. And we have not learned how to value other qualities that is still kind of under that umbrella of protect and provide, that isn't him bringing money in, but it would still make you feel safe, protected, and provided for. So you need to make money a neutral thing, because in making money a neutral thing, it takes a lot of that emotional charge out of what money can feel like for a lot of us. And it also helps you to redefine what his role is in the relationship as the masculine man. Because I'll be honest with you guys, it's not always easy being the one that's making the money. But when I'm really honest with myself, I'm like, bitch, I don't really think you'd have it any other way. Like, I have always, like, from the beginning of us dating, I obviously made a lot more money than him. And maybe not obviously, but I did, because I ran my own business. Like, my business makes more money than him. He made a lot of money, and it just ended up working out that, it was really supportive for him to be working for me. Is it always easy? No. But what I will say is that when there are hard moments in the business, or when there are moments where I'm like, I don't want to fucking deal with this, the ability that I have to just pass that shit off to him, that allows me to feel provided and protected for. Like, I don't do any of the finances anymore. I don't pay our fucking bills. I don't deal with lawyers. I don't deal with any of that stuff. And that, to me, makes me feel so safe and protected, because I can just pass that heavier stuff. Like, it feels heavy for me in terms of like, I really don't like doing it. I find it very confusing. It's very head dominant. It drains the living daylights out of me. When I used to have to get on accounting meetings, I would literally have to take a nap afterwards, because I feel like I've used every single brain cell in there, that I have nothing left to give. So the fact that I can pass that off to him is like immeasurable. That is worth so much. There's no one else that I can trust more with the business's money, with my money, with my future, than obviously him, because he is the only other person. My mom has said this to him like a million times. He is the only other person that will ever be as invested in the business as I am, because it also is a thing that's keeping him fed and keeping a roof over his head. So I'm not saying we all need to go start working with our partners. What I'm saying is that for those of you that either are working with your partners or are not working with your partners, but you're making as much money or more money, there are so many other ways that he is able to provide and protect for you. And in that program, the Feminine Female Breadwinner, I break everything down for you. And actually, I made that for men and women. So when I ran it live, there were men on the call asking questions as well. And so it's really beneficial for the two of you. And it's actually included in the VIP package for the man, because there is so much in there around women's needs with money and with safety and with polarity, because it's not just like how to handle money. That's not very, like not super helpful. It's not just how to handle money in a relationship, because that's also very personal. It's giving you the powerful questions and tools and strategies so that you can make a plan for yourself in your relationship with your partner in a way that suits you, your like the amount of money that you make, your lifestyle, whether you have kids, all of those things. Because the kind of like outcome that I want you guys to get to, so that you're not feeling this strain of being the woman that's making a lot of money, and then obviously what, the issues, if you'll say, that can cause, like my outcome is for you to actually feel supported and understood with your needs around money, him protecting, him providing, him being the man of the house, etc. Additionally, if we're not careful with healing our, with like, if we haven't healed our relationship with money, and therefore we're bringing those issues and those projections into our relationship, And obviously that's going to negatively affect him and you as a result of it. So if you make a lot of money and you haven't healed your relationship with money, there's going to be some stickiness that's brought into the relationship, which I'll go into some more examples and details in a second. But what I want to say is that it's very essential that you are not carrying any wounds around money and being a woman, because that is going to affect not only just the polarity day to day, but it's also going to affect emotional intimacy. It's going to affect you feeling understood. It's going to affect you feeling seen, and it's going to affect your sex life and your safety. It could even go as far to affect your cycle, because in order for us to have balanced hormones, in order for our root chakra to feel really safe so that we can bring a baby into the world, we need to feel safe. And we hold the energy of scarcity in our root chakra, or abundance in our root chakra, right? And so, but if you're holding this energy of scarcity, and by the way, you could make a fucking mozza, but still feel scarce because of how money is engaged within your relationship, that could very well be affecting the other goals that you have for your personal life or your professional life. Let's remember, ladies and gentlemen, women have never in history been able to easily make so much money. And so we need to, ladies, be aware of our own wounds so we don't just project them onto him. And gentlemen, you can also be aware of the fact that for the vast majority of women, it's a very new thing to make this much money. We haven't exactly been modeled it from our mom. Like, I don't know about like some of you guys, you had moms that made a lot of money, but my mom, she had her businesses on the side, but she focused on being a mom. And I'm honestly internally grateful for her for doing that. And she always jokes about the times, and I remember this, of like when she would be working too much. I mean, we get so pissy at her because we'd want like better dinners. Like, God, the pressure we would put on her, poor thing. Anyway, my point is that even the gentlemen listening to this, you guys can be cognizant of how we are really, for the vast majority of us, the first generation of women that are navigating, making, like bringing all of this dough to the table, and how that then influences us and our behavior in the relationship, and whether we're emasculating you because of it, and our kind of like protectiveness around the money that we're making. Because for a lot of women, we can get very protective. And I know I had to navigate this in the beginning as well. We can get really protective over the amount of money that we're making. Of like, we don't want to fucking share it because we've never had to share the money because we haven't made the money, right? Whereas for men, they get so much purpose out of making money because that money is then used for them to be the provider and the protector. And so they want to share it. Whereas like, we don't want to be the provider and the protector. So it's like, I don't want to make all this money and then have to provide and protect. I want to make this money and like, go on holidays and buy nice clothes and like get my dream house, et cetera, et cetera. So again, I go into really the nitty gritty of how in the Feminine Female Breadwinner, which you can watch with your man if you want. But my point of this is we need to be cognizant of the fact that we, for the most of us, have never been modeled what it looks like to stay in a polarized relationship that make a lot of money. Because for a lot of women that make a lot of money, it is really affecting their dating experience. They're hanging it over a man's head. They're emasculating a man, and they're using that to prove their worth or prove their power. Rather than, you can be a woman that makes a fuckload of money and still doesn't pay for the dates. Like, I have never paid for a date with my fiance. Never. Even when he took me to the Ritz-Carlton, which is where we met like on that chairlift. If you haven't heard the stories about the love story of how we met and all that kind of stuff, there is, I think, a 3-part series, or at least 2-part of all of that. We can link that below, or you can just go to the podcast directory and search love story and then you'll see it. My point is our first weekend together after we met the week prior, he took me back to the Ritz-Carlton. Like, that place ain't cheap. It's in Beaver Creek, Bachelor's Gulch. If you know it, you know it. It is absolutely fucking beautiful. And, he made back then, like, he made a lot of money, so it was totally fine. But that wasn't something that he would do regularly. It wasn't like, he's a smart financial guy. So it wasn't something where he would, say that like, oh, that's a smart financial decision and like it goes within my budget and like blah, blah, blah. But a man that wants you is going to fucking claim you, and he's not going to let money be the thing that necessarily holds him back. Now, granted, we all have our own like financial situations, la, la, la. My point of this is that I was not using my money in the beginning of our relationship as some kind of thing to hold over his head, because that would not have made him feel like he was enough of a man. So it's really being cognizant of this balance of men like to spend their money on us, right? They like to be the provider for us. So it's being cognizant of that, but also being aware that you don't want to use your money in a way that could emasculate him, but there is also so much beauty in you making a lot of money and bringing that to the table in a way that feels really, really good for you.